What's up, everybody? Welcome to Flux Harmonic. I'm David Wilson, and today we're back with another live coding stream where we try to build something cool from scratch. And as we've been working on for a while now, this is the Flux Compose project, which is sort of like a creative environment or playground for creating various different types of creative works that I need for what I do day to day. And particularly one thing we're going to work on today, which is creating video thumbnails. So over the last few weeks, we have been gradually building up the functionality necessary to get to this point where we have reached today, where we've worked on basic graphics rendering, text rendering, loading and saving PNGs, and everything sort of leading up to this point where we can actually generate a video thumbnail using the code we've written. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but I'm pretty excited about the fact that we finally got to this point. So before I go further, I'd like to say hello to the people who have joined so far: Bill, Emil, and Daigo. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it, folks. So some updates. First of all, I want to say thank you to Garjola for pointing out that I had a bug in the code that I wrote last episode, that affected font rendering. So there was just a slight little issue that I had that, let's see if I can jump to where it was. It's in font.c. There was a place where I basically had used position X, where I meant to use X, because I'm doing a little bit of a shifting of positions here. And 1 second. First up, coffee delivery. So we have the Flux Graphics Draw Texture EX here, where I'm passing in X. I was actually passing in position X before, which is wrong. The X value actually did contain the bearing, or the adjustment for the bearing, which makes the font rendering look a lot better than it did when we did it the last stream. So that sort of fixed the issue that I had, the last issue that I had with font rendering, at least for the font that I want to use so far. So I don't think we're going to have to actually use Harfbuzz like I was thinking previously. I thought we would have to pull in Harfbuzz to get better text shaping, but at least for now, I think that we're doing pretty good. In fact, I'll show you what that's looking like right now. So if I just run this, probably it's going to crash a few times. I think I'm doing something wrong somewhere. I guess memory management problems, and it's causing random crashes. We'll get that figured out at some point. But here you can see the February 3rd, 2022 actually looks pretty good. Like the spacing of the letters and everything on the text looks good. Maybe I should try to get that a little bit larger so you can see what that's looking like. Let's see if I go where the scale is here. Was it the scene? Trying to find the value I have set for this. Is that right there? No, scale, 1.f. Let's put 1.5 just to let it be a bit bigger to see it. So yeah, I mean, it looks quite a lot better in terms of the smoothness and also the spacing of the letters. So I'm pretty happy with that now, and I think that's good enough for the kind of text rendering that I want to do. So that's the point we're going to start from today, is having the ability to render text, true type font text like this using the font that I've selected. And we're going to try to use that and everything else we've done so far to build a thumbnail, which is great. I've also expanded the font config code slightly. In font config, we added that last stream to give us the ability to ask for a font by name and not by file path. So if you know what the name of the font is, maybe like what the weight of the font is, like semi-bold or medium, etc., you should be able to query using font config to find that font file path and then pass it into the font loading code so that we can generate the character glyphs and use those for rendering. So it's not really much interesting to talk about there, but there was a couple of functions that I changed. If I go into font.c, Flux font print all, and then with a family name, you could basically print all the fonts of a particular family. If you pass in null, it would just print all the fonts available in the system. So it's kind of useful for diagnostics if you want to take a look at what fonts are available. And once I have the Emacs interface a little bit more fleshed out with the connection between Emacs and the REPL of the program, then I should be able to get like a listing of fonts in Emacs that I could select from to change the fonts for a particular thing that's on screen, which is going to be pretty cool, I think. The other thing was, let's see, I've tidied up resolve path a little bit. I think I added some more cleanup stuff here, but I don't know if some of that is actually causing the problems I'm seeing. So I need to go with like Valgrind or some other memory analysis tool and see where I'm stomping on memory. But I get occasional crashes. You may see it a few times in the stream, but it doesn't really stop us from using the code. So it'll just be a minor annoyance for right now. And I've also been rewriting the scripting language. So in the last stream, I mentioned that there was a book I'm interested in called Crafting Interpreters by Robert Nystrom, I think is his name. And I've been basically devouring that book over the weekend, and also started rewriting the scripting language that we've added here based on the bytecode VM implementation they use in that book. Mainly because I think it's going to be a lot better than what I've been doing so far. The implementation's a lot cleaner, a lot faster, and it actually accomplishes some of the cache friendliness that I intended to accomplish in my design. And my design is it's a mess. So I'm very happy to be rewriting that, and I'm probably, we'll see. By the time we stream again on Thursday, I may have enough that we could actually try to use it a little bit. But it actually is becoming more of a general purpose language now. We have the ability to do mathematical operations, Boolean operations, and I'm getting basically into the place where we can start doing a heap allocation of objects, maybe like basic structures, also inline functions or function definitions in general. So all that kind of stuff is going to be useful for what we're going to do here. And I'm basically just trying to get a baseline implementation of a scheme-like language so that I can use that to build more functionality in over time as I want to. Macros being one thing I will add at some point, but probably not this week because there's no time for that. So we'll talk about that more probably next stream and see how that goes. But I've been having fun with that so far. Oops, let's see, next slide. So finally, we are at the point where we can produce basic usable thumbnails. Not only for Flux Harmonic streams, but potentially for System Crafters videos also, depending on the complexity of what I do in the thumbnail. So let's talk about that in a second. So like I said, we now have the ability to load and save PNG files, render image textures to the screen, render text with an arbitrary font, and also we have fragment shader support, which is going to give us the ability to do a lot of really cool effects, one of which we might actually try to implement today. And what we're going to do today is try to use these features to hard code a replication of the thumbnail that I created for today's stream. When I say hard code, I literally mean we're going to have a function in C that will render this thumbnail out. The reason why I'm doing it that way is because we don't actually have the scripting language hooked back up yet to a point where we can describe the whole scene. But I think that's going to happen real soon with some of the work that I'm doing. So today we're just going to write a C function to hard code rendering of this, but if we get it working, then I'm going to start using this code to render the thumbnails for every stream going forward and not use the GIMP as I have been so far. So to give you an idea of what we're working toward, I have the thumbnail pulled up here in the GIMP because that's what I use to edit my thumbnails. And you can see basically it's just the Flux Harmonic logo with the current date, and there's an image that I got off of what's it called, unsplash.com. And then I have a layer in between to add a little bit. See, if I didn't have that extra layer, it would be horrifying, the background. So I have like a shading layer to sort of, tone down the background, but it also gives it kind of a nice look. So we're going to try to replicate this in Flux Compose, and I think we have everything we need to do that. So I'm pretty excited to get started on that work. All right. So then the tasks. So first of all, I'm going to remove the existing test rendering code into its own function. I've kind of like just thrown everything together inside of the main render loop function. Now I'm going to clean that stuff out so that we can swap out which function is rendering in the render loop whenever the code is running. Main reason for that is because I'm not going to check in all the images I'm using for thumbnails into the repository because there's no reason to check in huge images there. I'm going to keep them on my own computer. And then having a separate function allows me to run that code whenever I need to and not have it be running by default whenever someone decides they want to try out the code and run it on their own machine without having the images present. So we're gonna go on with that approach for now until we get the scripting system hooked back up to the point where we can actually write the description of the thumbnail inside of the scripting language instead. We're also going to fix the image renderer to create the correct size of image with an appropriate output. So if I were to show you now what the image we just rendered looks like from the last time I launched Flux Compose just a moment ago, I'm going to go to, let's see, code, Flux Compose, this output.png file. It's kind of cropped a little bit here. I can't really zoom this very easily. I'm trying to remember what the binding is for that inside of Fe. Wonder if I put it in care mode if it works. No. Oh, I flipped the image somehow. That's not what I meant to do. Anyway, you can see that the text is cut off a little bit. So we need to fix the cropping on the image. I have a different strategy in mind for that, like to have basically a separate rendering context, but we might try to implement that if we have time today, but we won't bother with it if it's not necessary. All right, so let's go back to the slides. And then lastly, we're going to try to create a function to measure the pixel width of a string rendered with a specific font to use in screen centering. So to center the text that we render, we have to figure out how wide the text string will be when it's rendered to the screen. We have the widths of every character in the string, so we can definitely calculate that, but we need to calculate it before we render it so we can position the text correctly on the screen. So we're going to figure out how to do that, which I already know how to do it, but we're going to write the code for it. And one thing I did not mention here that we might try if we get time is expand the fragment shader, the font fragment shader, to add a drop shadow to text. I guess I should say configurable drop shadow to the text. That's going to be interesting to see how easy that is to do. I'm pretty sure I know how I want to approach that, but I haven't actually tried it yet. So we'll try it on the stream if we have time today. Otherwise, we'll probably do it on Thursday. So that's it for the task today. And we can go ahead and just jump right into it, get started. So first of all, we're going to clean up that code in graphics.c. Let me get that out of the way. So I've got the stuff in the render loop here that I want to move. So how about this? Void flux graphics render test. And then I probably want to pass in this flux render context. That may be new since last time also. Yeah, I'm not sure that was there last time. I'll talk about that in a second. So the flux render context, that probably needs to be a pointer. And then we'll take in the texture. Now, the interesting thing about this is that we're probably going to have to make these static variables so that they persist across function calls. I don't really want to have to make them global variables. That would be terrible. So we'll just move some things around a little bit. And let's see. I'm going to go down to this font loading code right here. Grab that, throw it up here. And I'll probably need to check on these basically to say like if Jost font, or I guess I could say if not Jost font. That seems to be the idiomatic way to do that. Copy and paste this code inside. Yeah, it's probably a more effective way to wrap that. Let me double check something on the other screen here. Oh, wow. So apparently I've been missing chat messages. I don't know if people have been trying to send me stuff, but Porv. Sorry about that. I'm looking at the chat on the other window and it's not updating. Okay, so let's see. We have that logo. We're going to load the logo. Logo equals. Okay, so yes, I want to remove that for sure. So if not logo, we're going to load it up. We're also going to make these static so that they are always available when the function runs. So that loads the logo and the font if necessary. And then clearing the screen. Yeah, we're going to leave it to clear black. We'll leave it here in the main render loop for now. Translate the scene preview to the appropriate position. Hey, Ramin. Or Ramin. Let's see. That needs to stay here, I think. So I'm going to leave that for now. I've hard-coded some resolution stuff here, which is not good, though. That's probably why things are off, though. That makes sense, actually. Oh, 2F? That's not right. No, that is right. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'll have to fix that in a little bit. So that we will keep. Now this X and Y stuff, I think we definitely need to move. So render this stuff. There's some other rendering happening, rendering a texture, rendering the font, and then doing the automatic save. I'll leave the automatic save stuff here. So let's move this up here. And I'll just nudge it over a little bit. And this probably also needs to be statically defined as well. I'm not really crazy about this whole pattern of statically defining things, but we're going to just stick with it for now. Oops, float x, y equals 0.f. And then, let's see. We don't even really need to do that, I guess, because we're calculating it based on sign and costs. That all looks good. Scale we have here. Where's scale defined? Okay, so float, amount, scale. I think amount's not even being used. I'll move scale up here. So, you know, let's just take scale out of the static. We don't need that as static. I'll drop that right there. Let's see, what else? X and Y. Let's delete these. We don't need those, I don't think. Okay, so now I can call this Flux graphics render test. I'll pass in the context. And that's all it really needs for now. Let's see, render the test scene. That's supposed to be test, right? Yeah. So let's see if that works. I got a feeling it probably will crash first. Okay, there we go. All right, so scale is undefined in 528. Interesting. So scale, probably I can apply that myself. So, oh, this is the scale of the, yeah, all right. Float scale, all right, that's what we're gonna do. That was a scale for the actual preview area, I think. Oh, I even use AMT. Where's AMT? Apply transforms before rendering. AMT is sign. All right, fine. Whoops. We'll go back there. AMT. And then I will go up here to this place here and then put in AMT also in the list of variables being defined. And then the last thing I think is draw args. So draw args, where is that? Ah, there's a variable that I've defined here that needs to be moved also. So we'll put this right up here. Now draw args, I probably don't need to make that static because that's just a stack allocated variable that we're just messing with every frame. So we'll run this again. And it looks like it is working aside from the texture not loading. So let's see, if not logo, load the logo. Maybe I missed the logo rendering part. Draw texture EX. Wonder if I need to initialize the draw args at all. So we have a static position. And we've tweaked it a little bit. Interestingly, it's not being drawn, but I'm not checking to see if it's not loaded already. So it's kind of interesting that it's having trouble. Let's see what else we might have missed here. Okay, texture 2D. Scale, it's all good. Interesting. Let's double check also that the output.png got rendered. Okay, that did get rendered. That's good. All right, so the last thing is just that that image is not being rendered correctly somehow. Let's just write some logs out here. Flux log loaded PNG. Put a little new line on that. Did it load? Oh, hold on a second. I didn't. Oh, I did initialize it to null. Loaded PNG. Okay. find it strange it's not actually rendering. Let's stop tweaking the values. So I'll just leave that alone. Actually, this part's fine. Try it one more time. Oops. Okay, that's one of these memory errors I was mentioning before. Weird that the window is so square also. Yeah, there's something weird going on with how windows are initialized in EXWM, I think. Okay, so we know that the code is being run once here. Let me actually remove this print all for Jost also. This is actually an example of the font search code. I'm finding the Jost font or all of the fonts that that fit in there. So like the family Jost and the style basically, so I can use those to load up a font whenever I want to, which is good. All right, so I took that output out. I can now see, okay. Very strange. I'm doing something wrong. 950, 350. Let's actually change the position of this to 250 and see if that has any effect. Yeah, we gotta run it again. Very interesting. What if I change where this is being rendered? If I put it back in the other function, that seems kind of like a stupid thing to do, but I don't know what's going on now. I'll drop it right there. Basically, just have to put the code exactly back where it was before, which is kind of lame. All right, so wonder if it being static has anything to do with it also. This is not the most efficient movement, I have to say. All right, so we don't need the float. I'll put these back up here. And also a, was it flux texture logo equals null. Okay, and draw args, we need that for later. Should be enough. Let's run it. Okay, so for whatever reason, in one function is rendering and the other function is not. There's got to be a reason for that. Does it have anything to do with context? Let's see. So the context that I'm passing, window, is render context a pointer in itself? Oh, did I pass that wrong? Yes, I think that's part of the problem here. So I need to take out this rendering. Yeah, I need to change the way that I'm defining these structs because I'm tripping myself up at this point. So let's take that out. That's weird, man. I don't get it. Okay, so context is a pointer by itself. Ah, is eglot not on? Eglot. All right, so context and flux render context is a pointer type def. Let's see. So why is it not working here? So if I uncomment that, context logo, and the context that I start with, window context. Okay, so yeah, that should be fine to pass it. I'm passing it to other things. In fact, instead of Flux Graphics render test, I'm passing context. Oof, goodness. That notification sound is louder than I configured before. Sorry about that, those who got scared by that. It scared me a little bit too. Welcome to Raphael Sun. Okay, so let's see. We may skip it for a moment and go back to it because there's something strange happening that I can't explain at the moment. I'm loading the image correctly, at least I think I am. Logo is null. Let's put these side by side so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth so much. So I'll be here on that one, and then I'll go down to. Can I use this? No, was it that one? Yeah. Okay. I need to use some better navigation skills. Flux graphics loop, render loop. Okay. So for loading the image, it's basically the same. Logo and then draw args are here. I don't really want to do that, but I could try that. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I might need to free this font path too. Not font path. Can I find a file for font? Okay. Oh, okay. It is freeing. Calculating X, rendering stuff, then Flux graphics draw texture EX with the draw args. All right, let's try it one more time. All right, did I do that? Did I uncomment it? Did making that variable static solve the problem? No. Yes. What the hell, man? Okay, that makes no sense whatsoever. All right, well, at least that did solve it. Let's see. Let's take out the stuff that we brought back in. Get rid of that. And then double check we got everything right here. I'll add those back in so we have some rotation. Okay, fine. It's working now. So we have a separate function now, which is great. That's the first task done. We moved that code into its own function. Now we're going to make a different function for rendering the thumbnail for the current stream. So let's see, Flux graphics, render test, render thumbnail. We're just going to call it that because this is just a temporary function for now until we get the real code in for describing this stuff with the scripting language. So I will copy a lot of what we did already because it's just similar kind of setup. Oops, and then we'll go back into this function and paste it. All right, so we got we're gonna get a different logo. Static flux texture background equals null. We're gonna use the same font. We may have to adjust the size though. Positioning we'll calculate in a bit. If not background, then background equals, or I guess we could just steal that right there. Background equals, and we'll pull the assets from the full path. So I think those are in notes, shows, Flux Harmonic, media. So let's see, is it logo screen? Oh, that's like a whole generated thing. Okay, I don't want that. Let's actually go there inside of notes, shows, media. Okay. Let's double check what I had in this. So logo center, I don't know. OBS background. That's a pre-baked one, it seems. Do I have the original image in my downloads folder potentially? PNG. Okay. That's probably a good starting point there. What size is this image? Okay, so we will try to add the path for that. If I go into graphics.c, home, David Will, notes, shows, Flux Harmonic, media, / Flux Harmonic.png. Okay. We'll see how big that looks in a second. And then the background, we'll wait on that for a sec. I think it's probably in my downloads folder. Let's see if is there anything else I need here? Probably not. Yeah, so if I go to downloads, who knows? JPG, probably a JPG of some sort. JPEG. Oh, no, it's not going to be in the downloads. Where is it? It must just be saved as part of this image. I could save that out to another file, I guess. So, how big is this? Scale image. All right, so it's 3,000 something. That's fine. Let's export this as Flux Harmonic background base, maybe BG base. And should be good enough. I don't know if I should have saved it as a JPEG for better compression. And once that gets saved out, we can actually load that in also. And then try to render these to the screen in a moment. Okay. Now I'll put these back on if I ever have to use this thumbnail again. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's jump back into the code here. I think that I called that, whoops, background. It's a Flux Harmonic BG base. Okay, so I have both of these now. What happened? Oh, the code formatter hit it. Okay, so what do you not like here? Okay. Yeah, you're confused. So I will try to render both of these. I'll just get rid of some of this stuff. I don't need the, well, scaling I might need. So I'll keep that line around. The rotation we don't need, at least not yet. So we're going to draw the logo texture, and we're just going to put things at 0, 0 for now, just to sort of get a sense for where they should go on the screen. I could do actual calculations as well to make those show up right. In fact, we probably need to draw the background layer first, then the logo. And we're going to want to draw a fill also to do the blending layer. So if I were to do 0, 0, I can say window, what is it, context, window? Context, let's see, what does context even have in it? Okay. Let's see, Flux render context. Can I go to the definition? Nothing's working with eagle eye right now. Flux render context. Okay, screen size, screen matrix. Okay, so we have a vector 2 for the screen size. That's good, that works. So we'll say context screen size 0, because this is an array of floats. Context screen size, whoops, screen size 1 C's. And that's going to draw a red rectangle. Let's put that to a 0.95 or something, just to have a little bit of translucency. So render the thumbnail. Okay, so now let's get rid of a couple more things here. Get rid of that positioning. Okay, and scale is what at this point? Scale is, oh, scale 0. We don't, oh, is that what the problem was? Scale 0? All right, let's do this. Float scale. This is probably what happened. I scaled the image to 0, so of course it's not going to render. Which makes you wonder why the static worked. All right, so we're going to do this now. So let's hop back down to this function and change out what we were rendering. So I'm going to copy this line, comment that out, and then say render thumbnail here. Then we're going to try this out and see what it looks like. Okay, so it took a while to load up that image, it seems. And it seems like a tiny image. I don't know what's going on there. That's kind of weird. All right, so I need to get that red block out of here so we can see what we're doing. Let's see, where was I? Right here. So let's take the, whoops, not that one. This one. All right, so let's take that out and render it again. So it's kind of interesting to me that the texture got corrupted here on the last character. I wonder what happened with that. Must be some bad memory management code that I've gotten here. We'll take a look at it in a moment. Let's take the font rendering out. So the background image, let's skip loading that for a moment and skip drawing it. Let's just see what we can get from the other images. So background, all right. Let's also not, well, we need to set scale to 1, right? If I never set it, then it doesn't get applied. All right, let's do this. Okay, so that looks terrible. But is it because I'm setting the width and the height wrong? I wonder if it's not even reading the width and height correctly. Kind of curious, actually. Rendering to window of size, what? That seems really wrong. I think there's some major memory corruption going on in this app right now. I wonder if it has something to do with font config. Because I didn't really have this problem until I started bringing that stuff in. Okay, so what else? What did the rendered output look like? Did it become huge? No. Okay, still seems okay. Okay, so it rendered something. That's not bad. The image is wrong, though. Something is really wrong about the size. Let's see. Is it because of the projection, or let's see actually what happened with the reported size whenever it got loaded up. So if I got a width here, header width, header height, texture width, texture height. Okay, so now I'm going to flux log the texture. I don't know why my child is screaming in the other room. Okay, so the texture is D by D. I think that should work. And then I will put in, what is it, the file path? Is that what I called the variable for that? File path, okay. File path. And then texture width and texture height. Height is a UN8, good, okay. So now I should be able to print that out. Whoops, let me put this here. I think that's a mistake. Okay, there we go. So now I might be able to see what the size, the reported size of the image is. The texture is 224 by 222. Is that correct? 'Cause that doesn't sound right. Let's load it up in the GIMP and see what it says. So Flux Harmonic.png, is it the one? Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge image. I don't know why it says it's much smaller than that. This thing is like 3040 by 1502 pixels, so that should be plenty big enough. Interesting. I wonder if there's some data in the image that makes it think it's smaller than it really is. Or am I loading the header, or sorry, loading the image size wrong? That would be really problematic if that was the case. What about header.width and header.height? Let's copy this really quick and then try that instead. Header.height. Header.width, and what are the types of these? Dot width. Okay, so you went 32. And what did I set those to? Did I set these to the wrong side? Did I say you went 8? That's the second time something like that's bit me. Okay, so let's put this back in Flux Texture. You went 32 on both of those because I think something's going wrong there. Okay, something's different at least. Let's see what the reported size is. Okay, that is the correct size. Interesting now that it's not rendering after we've actually fixed the size for it. Let me think for a second. So definitely I need to be more careful with the sizes of integers because I'm hitting overflow pretty often these days. I think I'm being a little bit too conservative with the sizes that I need for things. All right, so we have the size correct now. So why is it that it doesn't render? Let me go back to graphics.c. Let's put it a little bit inside of the image. I don't know if like maybe it's being clipped out because of the size. Takes longer to load too, it seems like. So we're drawing the texture, right? Context logo 1010. What is in the draw args, I wonder? Or actually, let's change this back because it had an issue previously. Yeah, now it renders. I don't know why making that static actually has an effect, but at least it does actually render now. So we're going to need to scale that down quite a lot. And let's say if we wanted the target size to fit within the image. In fact, the image we're rendering, I think I've started off the preview to be too small. So this is 1280 by 720. I actually want the image to be more like 2500. So if I were to go into GIMP and scale this image to 2500 wide, it needs to be 1408 tall. So 2500 by 1408. Let's change that and see what it does. I think there's some other things I'm going to have to adjust based on that too. 1280. Where else did I hard code that? Totally wrong. So window width divided by 2 minus the desired image size. And how am I going to hold on to that information? So the window size should not be the metric for that. So window show loop start. Probably I need to have a way to communicate that information. I mean, eventually I will for sure. But this does sort of go into the thing we need to fix later is like how do we render the image correctly whenever we've got it set up like this. Oh, and I also need to go change that scale. Scale 1.5. Let's put this to 1.0 now also. Let's just re-render it, see what happens. Okay, that's a bit better. At least the image is rendering cleanly, which is nice. Okay, so what we'll do now is try to scale that image back down. So I'm trying to think, we do need a target size. We need to know what the target size of the image is, the preview area effectively of the image. So how are we going to get that information conveyed? Probably it needs to be in the render context. So if I were to go to Flux render context, so screen size, vec2 desired size. So this is the actual screen size. This is the desired size of the render area, I suppose, or like I guess you could call it the viewport. We'll call it desired size for now. And then when we go into the render loop, Flux Graphics Windows create, Windows show, preview window. I think here we're spawning the thread. Loop start, okay. We have the window as the thing being passed in. We kind of need a render context, I suppose. That's another thing we'll figure out another time, I think. So with a context, oh, the window has a context already. How about that? So then let's try this. Window create, is that correct? Can't go to definition on anything right now. We're setting up a context there. Okay. Context, screen size, and then the width and height. Let's just assume that's going to be the preview size for now. So window, context, desired size 0 equals width. Is that right? Yeah, width. These are floats. It'll cast. And we're going to say the size part 1 is height. All right, so now we have these. Oh, that's a mistake. I wonder if that's part of our problem here too. Height. Always slight little errors here and there. Hard to write unit tests for this kind of code, so. Okay, so now we have information about the desired size, which means we can do some calculations in a couple places. But first, we're going to do it in the thumbnail code. So what we have is, we have a scale. I still have the scale variable, right? Okay, scale. So for the logo, I'm going to set the scale based on the, let's see, I want to scale it down. I think I need to take the context, what is it? Desired size 0. Oh, yeah, okay, let's do it that way. Desired size 0 divided by the, well, let's see. If our window is 2500 wide and our image is 3200 wide, if I divide that, let's make that a float, 0.78. So that will put us inside the desired width. But if I want it to be, let's say I want it to be 2200 wide or even 2000 wide, then I can multiply 0.625, 0.625 by 3200 to get 2000. Okay. All right. So what I'll do is set the scale based on the desired size divided by, in fact, the desired size, I would say this is something we have control over here. So 2000 divided by the width of the image. So logo width. Let's see. I don't know what I have on that. Okay, width. That's neither of those is a float. So let's make one of those a float. And that should give us a scale value that we can then use to draw the image to make it smaller. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, so that is smaller. That's good. It's not positioned correctly. I don't exactly know where it's positioned. 0, 0. Oh, is that centered drawing? It must be centered. So I don't know what's happening with the scale. Maybe it's because I'm doing something wrong in my translation calculation. Let's double check that as well. So right here, we're translating the view. What if I just take this translate out? I wonder if it's going to make it better or worse. Whoa, okay, another little memory crash. Okay, that's interesting. It'd be nice to have, let's render that ugly rectangle so that we can see where we're drawing to. So we're gonna do this draw here. Context, desired size. And also, instead of that ugly color, let's actually grab the real color that I want to use for this. So we're going to go to the shading layer on this image. Use the, whatever, was it the eyedropper tool? Actually, let's get rid of that first so it doesn't pick the wrong color. And then this is color, let's see, Whoa, no. All right, 255 range. Come on now. Is that really it? Okay, 28, 30, 31. That's wrong, right? I want HSV. Ah, okay. Yeah, fine. 28, 30, 31. Let's find out. Whoops, 28, 30, 31. Was that right? Trying to remember if I actually said the right numbers. 28, 30, 31. Cool. So now, 28 divided by 255. I know I need to pre-calculate these. 28, 30, 255. Terrible. All right, let's do this. Yep. And then 31.f divided by 255. We'll see if those actually work correctly. Okay, let's try that out. Yeah. All right, so it did seem to work. The color seems right, but the positioning of this image seems totally whacked out. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I bet there's a lot of dead space in that image. Let's open it up really quick and see what it looks like. If I open up Flux Harmonic.png, how much space does it have on the sides? Nothing. Okay, why is it rendering in the wrong spot then? Because that really doesn't make any sense. It should be rendering right up here somewhere, I think. I'm telling it to render at 0, 0. How about if I turn off the centering? Let's see, center, yeah. Draw arc center false. Let's see if this helps. Maybe I'm doing some back calculations there too. Nope, that didn't help at all. Very strange positioning. I'm not sure what's going on there. I may have to print some things out and figure out why. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and try to get the background drawing in also. Oh, okay, yeah, that's whoops. I think that that huge image is destroying the memory of the application somehow. So how about I just load that up and make it smaller? BG base. What's the size of this behemoth? Scale image. We're gonna make that 3500. I don't know. That's not really much better, is it? I don't have the ability to load any other kind of image at this point either, so we're gonna have to live with it. Oh, I also should make sure this is 16 by 9. I can do that by grabbing the selection tool, fixed aspect ratio 16 by 9. You probably can't see that very well on the screen here. Okay, it seems to be already 16 by 9. That's good. So did I save that correctly? No, that needs to be exported again. Very strange if it actually is that disruptive on the memory of the application. Yeah, let's replace it. Josiah says, are you in Europe? Asking because of your clock. Yes, I am in Greece. Okay, so we're going to wait for this thing to render out again. That's weird. I'm really surprised. See, what size does it say that image is? 3 megabytes. Oh, 8 mega. What? Which one is it? Okay. It may be close to 8. Who knows? So an 8 megabyte image, still, that should not cause such a trouble to the app, I would think. We're already loading it anyway, aren't we? No, we're not. That's why it's crashing. Okay, so the image is loading. Looks a little bit weird. Not sure what's going on there. Unless it's the compression. Ah, the scale is being retained between frames. Huh. Because I'm making this static, but if I don't make it static, nothing draws. Is it because... I'm not sure why. So Flux draw Args, scale, rotation, flags, shader program. Ah, I think that's optional. Let's see, draw Args. Wait, I'm in the wrong place. Let's go back to graphics.c. Draw texture EX. Thank you for jumping to definition. Args is null, shader program equals Args shader program. If shader program is 0, which it should be, unless that memory is fully uninitialized. I'm actually kind of curious what the deal is there. Let me check on, wait, is that right? No, stack allocated should all be zeroed out. Let's check out then back in thumbnail. Let's just double check. I'm curious about what's going on here. Probably need a print function for this thing, but we'll just use this for now. Flux log. Draw args. Actually, what do I want to put? F, right? So draw args dot scale, and then we're gonna put this as an integer. We're gonna say draw args dot shader program just to see what's in there. And that should go every frame. What don't you like? Scale? Scale X. Fine, whatever. Okay. Lovely little crashes here. I'll fix those up sometime real soon. Okay, so, ooh. Somehow, shader program is wrong. And I have no idea why. Why is that not being initialized to a value? Maybe I'm just making a critical mistake in thinking that that it's cleared out. So if I make that 0, then let's see what this does. Okay, so that's much better. I think that we had some memory corruption there. So let's just initialize everything because I don't want this to be a problem. Scale X. So setting these to 0 actually is not a problem because, well, they're not even being used. So just that shader program one was really the biggest offender, I think. And let's get rid of the draw args print. Whoops. Draw args. Oh, come on. Where is that at? Did I just delete it already? Draw args. Must be done. Okay. All right, so we're drawing now. That actually looks a lot better. And we aren't scaling the background yet. This is still not in the place where I expect it to be, which is kind of weird to me. But we can try to adjust that in a moment. The size seems okay. How does it compare to the actual image? Probably needs to be a bit smaller, I would say. In fact, we can take a look at what the ideal size should be right here. Let's do this. So judging by the selection rectangle below, that looks like it's about 2,542, and the image itself is 3,834. That's not really going to help us very much, but it's got to be less. All right, so what we're going to do is go back to thumbnail. We're going to tweak this scale a little bit more. So let's say we're going to target 1,700 for the size. And then we're also going to do the same thing for the texture. There's no draw args on the fill rect. In fact, maybe we'll tweak the alpha on that one a little bit too to make it a little bit more translucent. And on this one, we want to scale definitely to the size of the image. So the context desired size 0. All right, and then let's run it again, see what it does. Man, it really takes a long time to load that up. Okay, so I don't know if that's the right scale. Let me check what's on the image itself. Yeah, so this image is not being scaled correctly, but maybe I'm doing something wrong there. The Flux Harmonic logo seems a little bit better. Oh yeah, I'm not setting scale on the draw context, so let's do this right here too. That will probably fix that problem. Yeah, it's interesting how I don't like the artifacts, but I probably need to generate Mipmaps or something. That probably will help. Okay, so the thing that's strange to me is both textures are being offset incorrectly. I think there must be a bug in my texture rendering code. So let's just go check on that real quick. So I think I'm adjusting the position. Let's see, scale. No. That's not the right place. Draw texture EX. I'm having such inconsistent result with EGLOT right now. It's not really working out for me. The EGLOT, if you don't know, is the package for Emacs that allows you to have language intelligence inside of the editor from like a language server for C. Okay, so let's see what we're doing here. I'm sure it must be the translation I'm doing. Am I doing it in the wrong order? Maybe I need to translate second. That doesn't sound right, but let's try it and see what happens. Yeah, definitely not right. Because now we don't see anything. Okay. Something is being done incorrectly here. X and Y. So what I would assume is that the X position is going to be the center location of where the image gets drawn. Let's see, X and Y, 0, 0. That should be centered on 0, 0. Let me try this. Whoops, let's see. Let's go to thumbnail. And then, what did I do? Ah, the center thing right there. Let's turn off centering on both these images and see if that seems to help. Probably won't, because something else is wrong in there. Didn't seem to help at all. Hey, gun. Let's see. What's happening here? Okay, so it doesn't shift whenever I full screen. Let's see, let's see. The reason why I think something's wrong, which, you know, the same thing should be applying, I think, to the rectangle drawing code, because I think I do the same thing for rectangle drawing. So let's see, draw rect. I'm setting up vertex positions that are going around the origin point. I do the same thing. I translate just like that. So is there some difference in how I'm translating for textures? Let's see about that. Draw texture EX. Okay. So let's jump down here. Let's make sure that these vertices are correct. That looks right. Indices are the same. Now, one thing I'm not doing, the model matrix is scaled to size and translated. And this one is in the rectangle drawing code. So why is the W is width and height. Okay, so we're specifying the width and height of the rectangle. And that gets used here. And that is, it's adding to the X position, which seems surprising to me. Why am I adding that? I mean, it turns out like it looks right. So why does it look wrong? X plus texture width divided by 2. Okay, so I'm doing basically the same thing if I'm saying it shouldn't be centered. But it definitely doesn't show up right. So we have the model matrix here. X, Y, and 0 for the Z axis. Texture width, texture height. Okay, that's also looks correct. Rotate. Oh, what is this? Another scale pass. If we want it to be scaled. So, is the extra scale causing problems, I wonder? If I do 2 scales, I wonder if it stacks correctly. Because I'm not doing another scale here because we already have the correct dimensions that we want. So on, and what I'm looking at here on the left side is drawing rectangles and the right side is drawing texture quads. So I'm trying to figure out why the positioning of the texture is wrong compared to the positioning of the rectangle that's being drawn. Something is different for sure. I feel like it must have to do with the scale. So what if I just take the scale out and then try to run it? I mean, the textures are going to be huge, but maybe they will be at the right position. Okay, so that's correct. Something about that second scale is a problem. I think what I need to do is instead of running another scale, I need to store the scale values first. So like put them here. Huh. Gun says, I'm amazed how you managed to work in the same file with a vertical split. Yeah, well, it's not ideal, I have to say. Definitely not ideal. But I'm doing what I can here. Emil says maybe combine the 2 scales into one just to be safe. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm basically going to just keep the scale values here. So we're going to say scale X, scale Y equals 1. And then instead of scaling here, we're going to take the scale X equals Args, scale X, and come on. Then scale Y, and then delete that. How did I screw that up? All right, let me get back out of this because this is gonna drive me nuts. All right, cool. So that's right. And what is going on there? I think the code formatter must have indented everything. Then multiply the scale into both of these. So I will say scale X and scale Y. Okay, now everything's back. What is going on there too? Okay, that's what I did. I did not copy over the closing bracket correctly. Okay, so the rotation will happen after, which is fine. What is this complaining about? Is uninitialized whenever if condition is false? Well, no, it's not, is it? Oh, is it because I need to do this? Good to know, thank you. So let's see what happens when I do this. Haha, okay, interesting. Hey, Ben. That is very, very strange. Restream echoes in the chat overlay. Yeah, I think I need to fix something with Restream. It needs to ignore itself. That's really weird. Let's see if I can do it from here. Hopefully it'll take just a second. Let's see, chat. Just trying to fix the chat real quick. Filtering. Hide common chat bots. Bot. Relay mode. Huh. I wonder if it actually has something to do with what's it called? Streamlabs. Streamlabs may be doing some of that. I'm not sure. Actually, that might be true because Streamlabs is picking up the chat from Twitch too, I think. Okay, so the problem we have here is the scale is doing something really strange. We're scaling. Should I do this? I don't know if this is right. The order of transformations is important. Mary had a little lamp. Yeah, so that's not right, for sure. I don't want to scale the X and Y position, because that doesn't make sense. But I think it is being scaled based on the transform. Okay, so let's do this. Model translation order, or no, not translation, transformation order. Translate scale. Something is wrong. Why transformation order is significant? Because of matrices, that's why. Linear algebra. Scale, rotate, translate. Yep, still there, unfortunately. I'll try to fix it before the next stream. Sorry about that. You first rotate, then scale, then translate, you get a different result. Yeah, no kidding. Scales, rotates, then translates. Okay. So for translation, I mean, we have 0, 0 as the position anyway. Oh, no, that's not actually true because we were translating based on the width of the image to uncenter it. So it's centered by default, and we're trying to uncenter it by translating it. Or why are we adding something to it to do that? So you translate X and Y. Texture width divided by 2, texture height divided by 2. Yeah, this is really weird. Okay. So if I just don't scale at all, I think if I don't scale at all, it's going to be really problematic. We're not going to see anything. Yeah. So I have to scale. I can just make this never get set. I'm just messing around a little bit to see if I can triangulate what the problem is. So that's the correct 0 position for both of these, for sure. And if I scale them at all, it seems to scale the offset, which doesn't make any sense, to be honest. I don't know. I'm going to do something weird here. I have no idea if it's going to make any difference. Yeah, that's not good. And it really takes a long time to load that up. While I'm at it, OpenGL enable Mipmaps. I think I should do that. Just generate Mipmap? Okay. Because I want to make sure those textures look a little bit better. Texture.c, Mip. I'm not doing it already. Yeah, okay. So I need to add options for that. GL generate Mipmaps, Mipmap. And then it's the texture ID, if I type it correctly. Okay. Let me do this too. That's correct, right? GL enum target. Oh, texture Mipmap. Specifically for that texture ID. Okay. I'm curious if that's going to make those images look a little bit smoother when they get scaled down. Uh-oh. No. In fact, I would say it looks slightly worse. I'll have to look into that. I'm looking at these lines down here, and I can see that they are not so good. Does the scale not scale around the center the way that you're doing it so that the way the X and Y moves from the scale operation? It does, scaling does scale around the center. So I don't know if I need to like change the offset that I'm using. I wouldn't think I would have to, but it seems like I do, and I don't like that. Where was I? Let's go back to graphics.c. We could try that really quickly, but it just seems wrong. So how about this? Scale X, scale Y. Little memory crashes here and there. Oh, come on. Come on, come on, let's go. It's becoming a little bit too frequent now. Jeez. Can't be because I added the scale. It has to be just because I'm running out of memory or something. Okay, let's see. That is really strange. Can't be because of that. It has to be because I've like wasted a bunch of memory. Let me see. Proced. It's not going to tell me that anything about that though. Let's see. What about htop? Oh, I don't have that installed. Great. Geeks install htop. I'm basically trying to see if I've eaten up all the memory. Probably CPU memory is not the problem, or I think it's probably GPU memory that's going to be the issue. Yeah, I've got plenty of regular memory. I wonder if I've screwed my GPU though, because I haven't been cleaning up texture data. So I don't know if that gradually has a problem over time. Tame the scaly beast. Come on now, let's run for once, please. We can't end the stream like that. Come on. It is crashing consistently now. Let's try not loading the background image and see if that happens to help. BG base. All right. So right here, if background, just make sure we don't try to render it when we don't want to. Rect fill. Okay. So not drawing the background seems to have helped it a little bit. And not loading it, I would say. Let's try it again and see if it does anything. Okay, it's not liking that image right now. That's fine. So let's go to the texture rendering code again. Let's see, scale X. Let's find out where I was doing that. It's right there. That code, okay. That seemed right before it crashed. Okay, so that is correct. A little bit unfortunate. I don't know why the translations don't take care of that themselves. Emil says, are they not the lines that I'm talking about not caused by the texture magnification and minification filtering? Well, you might be right. I don't know. Let's see. OpenGL texture minification filtering. Let's see what we can change about that. You're probably right. Let's go take a look at texture.c. Am I just using nearest on that? Because that would explain it. Okay, no smoothing. It's already right here in my face. I should have just read my code and seen what it said. What are the other values? Okay, so there's some mipmap filtering options. If you choose GL nearest, textual coordinates, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know GL nearest makes it blocky. It's great if you're making retro 2D games and not so good if you're using high-res images. Let's see. Nearest mipmap or mipmap linear for linear interpolation of textual values. Okay, so mipmap linear or GL linear mipmap linear. Let's try this one first. See if it has any better effect. In fact, let me paste that. Minification filter, magnification filter, so you can set these separately, it seems. I'll put them both to be the same for now, just to see what they look like. Because I'm mostly just scaling down at the moment. Why? Okay, you're happy with that now? That's good. We'll drop this here. Okay, that's good. So let's take a little look at that. Can't look at the bigger image because it's totally hosed right now. See some artifacts a little bit on this image. What if I use linear, mipmap linear instead of nearest? Linear. That is much better. Yeah, that looks exactly like what I want to see. Okay, great. Thank you, Emil, for the hint on that one. I appreciate it. Okay, so now let's see if we can get that logo centered where it's supposed to be. First of all, I can go back to the code. Well, you know, I had an issue with that before. I don't know what's going on with that. Scale. Okay, that's right. So let's go to thumbnail. And then we're going to go right here to where I'm talking about centering. Turn that off. So we're not going to try to turn off centering anymore. We're going to let it be centered correctly. That's not what I expected to see. Has it gotten turned on somewhere somehow? Draw, arg, scale. Let's set it to true, because as we've seen before, these things don't initialize the way that we expect them to, which is a little bit unfortunate. Okay, that's what I expect to see. All right, so now all we need to do is put that in the center of the screen. To do that, I can just say context desired size O divided by 2.f, context desired size 1 divided by 2.f, and in theory that should be centered. Not exactly. And why is that the case, I wonder? Maybe the centering is also missing some scaling. Texture, EX. All right, so let's see. I do a little bit of an offset. Oh, no. X, texture width, divided by 2F. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, you can install NV top to get an H top. Oh, that's nice. I only have, well, I have an NVIDIA GPU on this computer, but it's not active because this is one of those laptops with the switchable graphics, and it's only using the Intel graphics right now. But that's a great tip, though. I appreciate that. So this doesn't actually run, okay? Oh, not that. This doesn't actually run if centering is 0, but we've turned it back on. I mean, I could do a manual calculation otherwise, but I kind of want centering to be the default. So if I offset, should this be x minus equals, maybe? I can't be right. I'm trying to think. Oh, so -5 to start with. Maybe there's a little bit of extra work that needs to be done on this. So x trying to think if I need to scale the width too. This all seems wrong. Like the translation should be taking care of this, but maybe I'm just not good enough with linear algebra to be able to visualize what's happening. Okay, so if we want it to be not centered, we offset it. If we want it to be centered, it stays where it is. So X and Y should be the center position to start with. And we know that because we're scaling around that position. And the vertices that we're using are basically centered at the 0 point in model terms. So if we're translating the X position with respect to the scale, yeah, this should be working. I don't know. Very weird. Maybe I'm not picking the right value for the X position. Maybe it's just that. Let's just see. So right here, draw texture EX. We want it to be centered. Hey, Felipe. Felipe says, shouldn't it be half the window sizes? I'm using half of the desired size, which is smaller than the window size, so it should be centered inside of this gray rectangle that you see. Well, if the app runs, I'm having some issues with it launching today. So this gray rectangle here, it should actually be where the centering happens. It should be happening somewhere around here. I actually don't want to be centering it on the y-axis, to be honest. No, I do, sort of. Well, let's see what happens if I do center it on the screen width, just to see. Screen size, screen size. See if there's any different result. Nope. It does move whenever I resize the screen, which tells you something, but and if I were to take off centering, that actually does work. I don't know why that works. Maybe something's backward in my logic. That's very likely. So let's do this. Oops. Can I draw a border around the frame? It's hardly visible. I would love to be able to draw a border around the frame, but the problem I'm having right now is that I need to actually put together geometry to draw a border. I guess I could flip that frame to use the polygon lines, but yeah, not really enthusiastic about that at the moment. So let's think about this for a second. The positioning of that seems wrong. So if I put it back to 0, 0, let's just go from the basics. All right, so we're going to start with just 0, 0 again. And make sure that it's drawing at 0, 0 as we expect. Okay, so if I were to move this to, let's say, 500, does it seem like it's moving to 500 on the x-axis? Something like that, yeah. Okay, so how about 2500 divided by 2.f? Because I think we are assuming that the desired width is 2500. Okay. So if it was correct, I would expect it to be right around here somewhere. Starting, the H would be starting right around there. So something is wrong. So 2500 divided by 2f minus logo width divided by 2.f. Just to see what happens. Come on. Not even close. The width of the logo, oh, the width, it doesn't take the scale into account, which is another problem. Yikes. Times scale. And let's make sure we're grouping this. Probably would be fine, but I'm just going to do it just in case out of a little bit of paranoia. Still not exactly what I would expect to see. Okay, so Emil says, would it not be less confusing to use a quad that does not start centered but starts in the top right corner and then center it if the flag is enabled? Maybe. The reason why I did it the way I did is because I'm leaving the same vertex information in the vertex buffer, so I don't have to change it based on what the desired centering is. But you're probably right. Maybe that does cause more problems than it solves. If I were to go from 0 to 1 instead. I wonder if there's anything else I'm missing about how the translation gets applied. Something is definitely not right here. Flux log. I mean, come on. 2500 divided by 2 ought to be the right result. What if I turn off scaling? That's not even right. Something fundamental is wrong here. Because if it doesn't scale, which should be the case... Wait, hold on. Wait. Do we ever set up scaling to begin with? Okay, scaling shouldn't be getting applied if I don't set it anywhere, which I'm not right now because the background is not loaded. So if scaling that is not being applied, and we're saying the position needs to be 2500 divided by 2f, and centering is false. Come on. Yeah, it should not be way over there. So 2500 divided by 2. Texture EX. So what if I take this part? Well, scaling is off, so it should be 1 to 1. 1 and 1, because we're not going to be loading this up. Let's just double check it. How about that? Flux log we're scaling should not be getting printed. It's not getting printed. Okay. So scale is not being applied. Texture origin is top, left, right. You want center of texture to be on the center of gray. Yeah, so texture's origin is actually in the center to start with. And we're translating to reverse the centering. And the reason why it's centered to start with is because the vertices we're using are sort of hard-coded to... so the center of the coordinate system in modern OpenGL is the center of the screen. So 0, 0 is at the center of the screen, or the center of the viewport. And then I'm using 0.5 vertices around the center, basically. So then to make it's centered by default. Then I use translation to move that thing wherever I want it to be on the screen. And then I scale it to make it bigger around that center point. And if I want to make it uncentered, I have to use more translation to sort of push it over a little bit. Maybe the translation is part of the problem. But even moving the center point is not working the way I would expect it to right now. So scale X, scale Y should be 0. I'm moving X and Y position the way I expect it should be moved. And it does not seem to be going where I want it to. Because it's way over here. Like the center of the image should be over on, like, outside of the window, basically. But that should be getting drawn somewhere around here instead. There's something really, really dumb happening. I need this scale because we're scaling the... Let me think about that for a second. Yeah, we're scaling the original vertices by the texture size. So this needs to be here, otherwise you don't see the image get drawn at all. Which I'll show you right now. Yes, it's not showing up at all. I could hard code the scale just to see how that looks. It's going to look really nice. 500.f by 400.f. And it's somewhere way over there, which is very strange. Yeah, maybe scaling like this is part of the problem. Do I just need to update the vertices? I'm trying to avoid that because I'm trying to minimize the amount of information I'm trying to send to the fragment shader, or at least to the GPU every frame. But that may be a misguided notion. I'm not sure if that's just like a terrible idea. Because I think the scale is worse. Like scaling it by 500 to put it where I want it to be seems problematic. So I'm not translating it at all. I don't know where it ended up. Scale is 1, Y is 1, so it should be the XY position I told it to be in. So what if I go back to graphics.c? Let me think about this for a second. So X... Does it make a difference if you scale before translating? Yeah, it changes the output to where you can't see where it goes. Maybe a mathematical thing that can be fixed, but... If I multiply X by 5,000 in general. Okay, so Emil says, if you want a top right quad with an init orthographic 0, top 0, 0, top right, and not center, makes it simpler. Yeah. So I do have that set up for my screen projection. I have that set up for the screen projection for sure. So if we go check out the, was it the projection matrix, screen matrix? Where is it? Yeah, so right here I'm using GL ortho to set the matrix basically to what you're saying, window width by window height. and then negative 1, 1. Yep. So it's basically the same thing, unless I got these parameters backwards. But let's see. GLM ortho, what does it say? Left, right, bottom, top. So yeah, bottom window height, top is 0. Yeah, so that's basically what I want it to be there. So the screen matrix is fine, but the model matrix seems to be wrong. The way I think the way I'm calculating the positions is totally jacked up, because if either way you look at it, if you have if you reorder the window width, I think you can move the origin to not be in the center. I'm updating the screen projection matrix every time the window size changes, basically. If you reorder the window width, you can move the origin to not be in the center. Maybe, I don't know. So anyway, what I was thinking is, if I'm translating first, I'm moving the center position to pixel coordinates, effectively. And then I'm scaling it, which I think scales everything, including the coordinates I just put in. So something is wrong about this. I think this is just not the right thing to do. I should not be doing this to size, excuse me, to size the image. I'm not sure why this worked so far. I think it's worked just because I couldn't tell that it wasn't working right. I have a feeling that the coordinate system of the model is different than what you see on screen. Like if I started, adding stuff to it, then it would just totally fly off the screen almost exponentially. So let's see, we've got about a little bit less than 15 minutes left. I'm trying to think of what I could do to fix this in that amount of time, because it would be nice to get something working correctly. So the first time I run through this, I'm setting the vertex array with these vertices. All right, let's see. Modern OpenGL draw textured quad. And also learn OpenGL. Get out of here. Come on, man. I'm so tired of having to sign my life away for cookies. Okay, so getting started, textures. Where's the vertex buffer stuff? Okay, vertices. So they're doing the similar thing that I'm doing, basically. Are they doing a... No, they're not actually moving it on the screen, though. Interesting. They just set their projection matrix for the screen, and they just go with it. They're not trying to do a view matrix also, I think. Let's see. Open.gl. There's another site for that. Textures. Come on. Similar thing here. Okay, anyway. Maybe the case I need to update the vertices. So let's see, OpenGL update vertices in Vertex buffer. I don't think I really want to do that though. Bind buffer, buffer data. So basically just copy the buffer back in there again. Yep, okay. So if I were to do that, I can make it be the exact size I want it to be. Set the texture coordinates would be the same still. And then, yeah, Emil, if you paste code into YouTube chat, they're probably going to delete it. Hopefully they'll show it to me before they just try to delete it. Then if I do that, I don't have to use the scale anymore for the purpose of getting the quad to be the right size. And then if I scale it, at that point, I'm only scaling it the amount necessary to get the visual look it needs. Yeah, the link to the gist did not actually come through. I'm trying to think. You could try to send me an email at david@fluxharmonic.com if you want to, because I think YouTube just loves deleting things. I would definitely be interested to see what you're trying to send me, though. Okay, so I might have to try to do that. Let's do one last thing just to satisfy part of the goals of this stream. Let's go to thumbnail, and we're gonna render some text. All right, so we have the draw text. We're gonna put it down. Let's see, where do I put it on here? It's somewhere around 1922, so it's pretty close to the bottom, I would say. Base 64 encode links and post them. That could work, Gun. All right, so we're gonna say context, desired size 1 minus 100. And then for this one, we need to calculate this, but for now, I'm just going to throw something in there and see where it ends up, because I can just adjust it manually if I have to for every stream. Wow, what did I do wrong? What did I change? Because this totally broke everything just now. That's fantastic. Okay, let me go back into graphics.c and revert whatever I did, because I just totally screwed up font rendering, which is wonderful. Okay, I think I changed a couple things here. Oh, it was the ordering, right? Scale. Excuse me. And oh, that's weird. I just had another realization. Oh, right. Okay, I need to not do this. Of course. Let's do that. Okay. Okay, so the font is fine. It just needs to be... Is this centered right now? What's going on? Thanks, Emil. All right, so I got to make the font way bigger. Hold up. Let me double check that. The screen... Okay, right. Great. So for the Jost font, let's make that much bigger. I think that's going to need to be, well, let's actually see what I used in here. What size did I use here? This is 300. Okay, fine. So the Jost font, I'm going to ask for size number 300 there. I'd be curious to see if that looks the same. Ha! Not even close. What the hell's going on? What'd I do? Okay, that's size 300. That should be bigger, right? Am I scaling anything? I'm baffled. I'm fully baffled as to how that got smaller. Hey, let's put 30. Okay, still tiny. What the hell is happening? scale X, scale Y. They should be 1 by default. Texture width, texture height. WTF. Shit. Let's see. I'm using 1 and 1 here. That shouldn't do anything wrong. I find it really humorous how small that is, though. Something is wrong with that. Yeah. Okay, 3000 is a little bit too big, so let's go with 500 here. Okay, that's more reasonable size. I don't understand what... Why don't you like 300? Is something wrong here? Did I not save that file? How does 300 but versus 500 make such a huge difference? Man. Sorry, folks. I got some weird bugs going on in here, and I have no explanation as to why this is the case. But yeah, I got to change how I'm rendering stuff, because I can tell that as the font size gets bigger and the actual textures get bigger, the positioning of everything gets totally whacked out. So something else needs to happen here. 450 size, I think, could be reasonable-ish for that. Just want to see some text on the screen in addition to the image. Okay, that size is pretty much right, I think. .500 loads font 609. The font, the JOS 600 is actually the file for the font weight. So I'm telling it to do that by using JOS semi-bold here. In fact, let me try bold and see if that looks even better, because semi seems a little bit light based on what I'm looking at. Ah, crap, come on. Whoa, it doesn't show at all. Okay, we're gonna go back to semi-bold. And we're gonna set the position. I don't know why we have to do this, but yeah, my coordinates are all screwed up, so we're gonna fix that before next stream for sure. Because we're not gonna sit here and watch me try to figure out coordinate systems for another hour next time. Okay, guys, I like that positioning better. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. You know, it would be funny if I just use this jacked up image as the thumbnail for the next stream, just because I should, as punishment for screwing up. Okay, so let's see. I at least want to get the Flux Harmonic logo into a position that looks reasonable before I do that self-flagellation. So let's do that. Whatever I get working today is what we're going to use for the thumbnails until we get it fixed. Okay, so that is somewhere. I'm going to say divided by 3, even though it's not going to get it to the right position. I'll subtract, let's say, 500 from this, which is just, you know, hacky as hell, but that's what we're doing right now. And it keeps crashing. Okay. Ooh, we got a little bleed from something down here. Wonder if the texture or the edge is causing problems. Let's divide by 4 instead. Okay, so that looks better. Does it look like what I had? Let's move the font up a little bit. The Discord link doesn't work? Oh, crap. Okay. That's weird. Let me click it and see what it does for me. Invite invalid. Okay, I need to fix that. Sorry, thank you for letting me know. In fact, let me throw a new link in the chat. Oops. All right, so invite people Edit invite leak, no limit. Okay. Dropped a new link in the chat there. Okie dokie. Let's just fix this up a little bit more before we jump out of here. I think the logo positioning is pretty good. Maybe it needs to go up a little bit. And then the font positioning definitely needs to go up a little bit. Maybe I can scale it down a little bit more. Let's see. What did I do here? Let's divide that by 5 maybe. And then, what was the other thing I was gonna do? Move the font up a little bit. So let's move this up by 50 px. Okay. That looks pretty good. I think I'm good with that for now. And then if it lets me, I'll load up the background image again, but I think that the image is too big, and for some reason it's just totally hosing everything in the graphics card. Yeah. It doesn't want to work. I think it will work after the stream. The stream may be, you know, causing too much load on the graphics card. Oh, there it is. And amazingly, the positions just totally got wrecked now. I have no idea what's going on with that. Oh, I do know what's going on with that. I lied. Let's go fix it. Thumbnail. Right here. And I need to remove. Or at least set this false. If it loads. Okay. I think that's probably good enough. Let me check the blending. Does it look different? Or is it too, maybe it's too permissive. Let's put it 0.95 here. Yeah, I don't know. Something about the way the color blending is working in GIMP looks better to me than what's happening right here. I wonder if it's the blending mode. Huh. Might have to play with that a little bit because it doesn't look quite as good to me. Yeah, if I crop it afterwards, it's fine for sure. If I crop this image, it's totally usable for a stream video. In fact, let me see what the output image looks like right now. Okay, so it's fine. That's usable. That actually is rendered out from the program. So I think we could say this is a tentative success in the fact that it worked. Oh, I'm seeing like some bleed through the back too. Let me go and change the screen clearing because I'm clearing it to have an alpha background and it needs to not do that. Okay, so let's go check the file one more time. I think that, why is it still translucent? I don't know, we'll have to see about that. Let me screw with the translucency again one more time. So on this shader here, shading, opacity is 97.4%. Definitely seems like I'm getting more of a good look out of that than what I am getting from the 0.95 that I'm putting in here. Let me experiment with blending modes really quick. I mean, that's not bad, right? It's fine. But I want to see if there's a different blending mode. See, GL blend. GL blend funk. GL blend funk. What options do I have for that? GL source alpha, 1 minus source alpha. So maybe it's not about alpha, maybe it's about source color. I don't know about that. We're gonna find out though. This may break everything. Unless index of the draw buffer for which to set the blend function. Who knows? Let's just give it a shot and see what happens. Let's see, GL1 minus source color. Get out of here. Oh, Minix. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not what I want. Might have to experiment with that a little bit too. But I would say what we've got so far is pretty good. It's working. Not perfect. Compared to the other image, I think the other image looks a little bit better, but it's not bad. 95. Where did I put that? 0.9. Let's put it at 3. Make it a little bit darker. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. I mean, we can use that for the next stream, basically. In fact, February, it's going to be what, the 10th? Might be related to gamma. Might be. You might be right. I'll have to take a look at that. And let's see if this is going to screw up my alignment a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit off because I added an extra character. So let's make this, what, 170? Probably too much. Actually, that's the wrong place to put that. Oh, got some shader tricks. I like that. 150, 485. Oh, okay. Color RGB is power. Color RGB. Did I do this wrong? What's going on here? 465. Let me think. The shader for the text or the fill. What am I using? Let's see. Color RGB equals POW color RGB vec3 1.0 minus gamma. Interesting. Add it to the end and set the gamma value. I'll have to take a look at that after the stream and try it out a little bit because that sounds interesting. I might have to try it my default fragment shader, the one I'm using for the rectangles. See if I can get the blending better. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, it's usable, I think. Positioning could be tweaked a little bit, but so far, you know, we did actually get to a point where we rendered a thumbnail for a video. So I think that's going to be the thumbnail for Thursday's stream. So keep a lookout for that. And I will check in all the code we looked at today. Hopefully that link to Discord that I added in the chat worked. So if you want to jump into Discord and talk about the stuff a little bit more, maybe if you have some other ideas or pointers, that would be very helpful. And yeah, next on Thursday, we'll try maybe clean this stuff up a little bit, and maybe I'll have enough done with the improvements to the scripting engine by then that we might be able to play with describing the scene in script and not in C code. But I'm not so sure that I'll get that far by then. So we'll see what we do on Thursday. But we'll definitely be trying to clean some of this stuff up by then. But anyway, thanks everybody for being here today. I really appreciate all the feedback from the chat. Really, you know, helpful to me whenever I have people looking over my shoulder and telling me what I'm doing wrong, because I do a lot wrong, as we can see here. And I'll have to do a little bit of extra work on this stuff before next stream to get some of these things worked out. But I think it should be fine. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. And until then, keep it creative. We'll see ya.